How's it going, sports card fans, wrestling collectors? This is Tom from CollectAWrestlePalooza. Merry Christmas. We got our tree up. Today is Merry Christmas for me too. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate is all good with me. I have two parcels to open up. We have one marked media mail and we have a box. We're going to open them up together, see what's inside. Welcome to the mailbag.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
But before we get going, I want to tell you a true story. I was in the supermarket yesterday and there was a duck. There was literally a duck that was going through the checkout line. And I looked down and this duck had the little chapstick underneath its wing. So it was trying to buy some chapstick and it put it up on the conveyor and it looked at me and it said, "Put it on my bill." All right, I heard you guys. Last time you said keep the dad jokes coming, so there's your dad joke to start out the video. What's going on, folks? How are you doing today? I'm doing good. I want to tell you about what I'm thinking. I want to tell you a little bit about my life to get started and what's going on in the hobby. I am thinking about Hulk Hogan, and I'm thinking about Hulk Hogan for a few reasons. The first reason is I'm trying to think about long-term investments in the hobby, and Hulk Hogan is the Mickey Mantle of wrestling cards, of wrestling collectibles. He is the GOAT. He's the one guy that transcends the sport and transcends the hobby the same way that you think of Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson in boxing, or think of, Wayne Gretzky in hockey and Michael Jordan in basketball. You think of Hulk Hogan in wrestling. So the reason that that's important is Hulk Hogan is a name that transcends the sport. So even if you're not a wrestling collector and you want to have some wrestling stuff to round out your collection or your portfolio of sports investments, you might choose to have a Hulk Hogan item or two in there. The other reason I think that Hulk Hogan is something to think about moving forward, and I would never say take my investment advice. I'm not a professional. These are just my thoughts in terms of what I think one would hold on to if they were concerned about long-term value. Hulk Hogan is no longer the bad guy in professional wrestling. It's Vince McMahon now. So that's important. And that's important because for a while, Hulk Hogan, with some of his comments, some of his supporting of certain political affiliations, those types of things, made this Hulk Hogan American hero persona, challenged that, because Hulk Hogan was a villain and was a real-life villain. If you don't know what Hulk Hogan did, you can Google it and you can see a lot of accusations and things that his life wasn't always above board. In fact, he was banned from the WWE Hall of Fame for a while for those reasons, and it wasn't necessarily because of his actions. It was because of the perception of his actions. Now, his actions were, in that case, were reprehensible, but at the same time, it was because the public perception of Hulk Hogan had gone downhill, and that's no longer the case. Vince McMahon is the bad guy, and Hulk Hogan now all of a sudden is America's good guy again. And I think that that perception could continue into the future. Anyway, something to think about, particularly as I open up this box, because I think there's a Hulk Hogan item inside of it. Second thing I want to say, funny how the mind works. I was watching YouTube and I came across this video of a Eurovision band called Genghis Khan, which is the German way of talking about Genghis Khan. And it was these 5 or 6 1970s disco-looking dancers that were doing this traditional Russian dancing with their legs going and back and forth and all this sort of stuff. And it was fascinating to watch. And I don't know why. The music was catchy and I just went down. You know how you go on these YouTube wormholes from time to time. The point of it is that I started thinking in college. I graduated college in 2001, and that was during the time that YouTube was just starting out. And I remembered one of my classmates telling me about watching Genghis Khan videos, and I had completely forgotten about it. Why do I bring this up? Because the brain works in mysterious ways. It's something I think about from time to time, is why was this memory stored all the way in the back of my mind to, come into prominence when I saw this YouTube video. Life's magical. Life's amazing. let's get to the opening up here and have some joy in life, right? This is the first one I'm going to open today. It does say media mail on it, which means that it's likely a VHS, probably a wrestling VHS, because that's what I collect, but you never know. Sometimes I buy horror, sometimes I buy just vintage pop culture videos. I bought an Olympics video because it was a cool 1980s big box at one point. I bought an internet training video from America Online at one point. You know, VHS and physical media I just think is really neat. So that's why I am collecting these things as the country and society moves away from physical media and towards streaming. I think that all these representations, if we're having an earthquake now, it's because of this guy. Say hi to the camera. He's up on the couch. If you heard him meowing earlier, I have 2 black cats. They're the loves of my life outside of my wife. But if I push him aside, he generally will stay put. So that is Ivan. I can tell them apart because Ivan has a clipped ear. We found him, or we didn't find him, but they found him somewhere down south, I think in Atlanta, where there are cats on the streets. We support animals. We love animals with all our hearts. If you watch my videos from a few years ago, you know that Rocco was the love of my life. Lost him to cancer, unfortunately. And now we have 2 wonderful black cats, Ivan and Sven, that might make their way into some of these videos if you watch my channel a lot. And speaking of which, if you are into this content, if you like 1980s and 1990s pop culture and collectibles, be sure to like and subscribe. I also have a Patreon. I have an eBay store. Patreon members that pay $5 a month get 10% off my eBay store every day. It's a labor of love to make these videos. It would mean a lot even if you just like and give me a comment. But certainly if you want these videos to show up in your feed, think about hitting that subscribe button too. This video, we're getting back to it here. This looks like it is a Survivor Series VHS. And I don't recall what this was or why I bought it. Probably it was just a good deal. Sometimes I target particular titles, but usually I'm just looking to pick up cool things that don't break my bank. Yeah, I'm sure this one was just a good deal. But it does have Stone Cold Steve Austin on the front. Stone Cold is one of the preeminent figures of professional wrestling. He saved pro wrestling during the Attitude Era. And right after, Stone Cold merchandise is still, I think, the best-selling merchandise in WWF WWE history. So I bought this mostly because Stone Cold was on the cover. It is from the time of the WWF that I do like to collect in VHS, which is 90s and 2000s if I'm not into the 1980s. And one of the reasons I like that is some of these VHSs are very inexpensive and they still have the WWF Attitude Era logo on it, that sort of hybrid logo when they still were saying WWF, but it was that scratchy, scrawly writing. So these videos are next to nothing. They're not the ones that capture my heartstrings. The 1980s big box clamshells are the ones that I really like to collect, but some of the 90s and 2000s ones are just so inexpensive. You can pick up these really, really cool titles. So it's a great entry point if you are looking to get into WWF VHS. Check them out. Under $10, you can get sealed copies of really, really cool titles that they mass produced during that time. So that's why I picked this one up. It is WWF Survivor Series, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H, WWF Championship match. Again, a who's who. Triple H is now the Chief Content Officer of the WWE, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The game, we got The Rock versus Rikishi, we got Chris Jericho versus Kane, Steve Blackman's in there in a 6-person intergender tag team match. Holy moly, Crash and Molly Holly. Trish Stratus is in there. So anyway, you know all the stars from that time. This is WWF Survivor Series. The rules have changed. And as I said, this is the one I'm excited to open. I think it contains a Hulk Hogan piece of wrestling memorabilia, but let's open it up and see. All right, let's see what's inside the box here. Find out together. Indeed, it is. So we have here Hulk Hogan, WWF LJN action figure, brother. When I got back into collecting wrestling, it was not cards, it was not video games, it was not VHS, it was action figures, and more specifically, it was the LJNs. I could never get these when I was a kid. My mom and dad, I'd ask for them. I wanted them, but apparently they were too expensive, or maybe it was because I couldn't get the Sling 'em Fling 'em ring because it had already been recalled by the time I became a collector. But whatever the reason, I never had these as a child. So when I finally started to make money as an adult, I started to buy these again just because of the pure joy of holding them. And here I go again, I'm buying another one. From time to time I'll sell them, but if you do go to the CollectAWrestlePalooza eBay store, we don't have much for LJN action figures, and that's because when I sell them, it's only if I'm leveling up my own collection. Otherwise I have them displayed in my man cave and they bring me such joy. So most of the merchandise I move through is my cards and my VHS and those types of things, but when I buy an LJN, it's for me. And this is for me. Look at this guy, Hulk Hogan. This is a minty version of it, and it truly is. I could tell by the pictures that this had almost no paint loss. It does have slight scuffing on the knee pads, but very, very minimal, and none of the paint is gone. In fact, I don't even know if that's scuffing or if it's just where the paint was applied lighter so it didn't cover as heavily. But there's nothing else wrong with this guy at all. Everything is completely intact, completely mint, and a beautiful, beautiful LJN championship belt. So this one's gonna go on display. I do like to let them breathe. I like to let them, experience the air, and I have a shelf in my man cave, like I said. It's not behind plastic. It's just right there for me to look at them and watch them, and just really, really enjoy having these WWF LJNs right there for me to look at. And that's why I bought this Hulk Hogan, and I can't wait to put it up there. I can't wait to look at it. Great investment, but also just amazing, amazing thing to have in my collection to enjoy. And that does it for today. I think you can hear Ivan scratching in the background again. Love those cats. They bring me constant joy. It's a Saturday morning. My wife and I are going to do a date night tonight. I'm going to do a little work in the meantime. I did just get a big promotion, so my job is getting more demanding again, which is okay because more money coming in means more stuff to buy and more mailbag videos. But I really, really appreciate your support more than anything. I enjoy the community. I enjoy your comments. Every time someone leaves a comment, I do get excited. Bucky and Shane, I'm sure I'm going to get comments from you. Keep them coming, and everyone else. Thank you very much. Be good to each other. Happy collecting.
CollectAWrestlePalooza, CollectAWrestlePalooza.